No. I would have to go on. Yeah, sure. 100%.
Prynawn, moving into noswaith. Welcome to the fourth event of the festival today. We've had 2 workshops earlier, just a wonderful conversation with Gemma June Howell, and now we're moving to poetry. We have 4 readers for you this afternoon, and the first of those is Barry-Ann Rowlands.
I'm not going to say anything interesting because I don't have anything interesting to say. This is scrunched up and it killed me to get it. Anyway, there's 3 things. One is 2 poems in the workings. Another one is, are you really taking photographs of me wet with a bobble hat? And one is I call it a prose paragraph. I spoke to my daughter today, who lives in Mankey, and she said, I've got to do the one that's got Welsh words in first. Not that I can, so excuse my pronunciation of stuff. Right, okay. Oh dear, right. I shall begin. Let us begin. Are we all settled down with hot chocolate and slippers and the fire burning and okay. To unfurl, uncurl, or unfold. Now that is a question. From harm to healing, growth to death or demise, we collapse or survive, thrive, submerge into swirling, navigating navigation from our palm, pre-made maps, the immutable, mythical compass we cover our sight with. Furl, curl, fold, and flatten out or trace the patterns of existence. Shiver and skip through low suns, skin matures in high skies, flesh mottles with colour, dancing delight in the swirling cold, brings internal eyes from an owl's head, the peripheral dreamings of a paradise rocking chair. Here in, sorry about the Welsh, Mordinum, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Mordinum, we are as old as playing with Maitrin, searching out the crystal caves of mental meandering. We hold on tight, waiting for visions amidst England's prerogatives. They don't know we are still in the hills, impenetrable and stoic. We fight with a potato and slap with a leek, daffodil in Lapel. It's the forestry that terrified, the depths ploughed down now. To unfurl, uncurl, or unfold, now that is a question. To encapsulate the aging of Cymru, from me as a gog in my blood. Eventually I came home to leafage out, to breathe and wonder where the hell life is, what it is. Is it here in this tiny hidden capital, where Llewellyn is? When we find him, can we unfurl, uncurl, or unfold him? Number 1, out of the way. And then my daughter said I had to read you the horrible, dark Liverpool paragraph. So call it a paragraph monologue, or I don't know, somebody will come up with some new term someday. I grew up in Liverpool and spent my youth around the docks and demise and the drugs and violence, hiding and manifesting in the old tobacco warehouses and the rust and the chink-chunk noises of chains running water, sounds and echoes of lives, past and my feet on crumbling stone in time with the crashing of the Mersey slapping against the dry docks, then empty, like staring and hearing down into the largest deepest, unwanted swimming pools you could imagine, with the industry of shipping run out of town and taken away to the south by Maggie's dreams. I love rust and time and peeling paint. I love the fear of walking over the bridges of the great gates being pushed, unstable, moving with the 7 currents of the Mersey River, trying to break through, and often some rapist at your shoulder, muttering their words and trying to guide you to some hidden dock hut full of scattered newspapers on the floor and the remnants of tin mugs. Who sat at these tables, I wondered often as I sat at them, too, in my box pleat skirts with Reebok sweatshirts and bucky boots, smoking cigarettes as though I wanted them, whilst negotiating the hell away. Sometimes when scrappy or wise enough, on whatever particular night when I hid from going home, father or the junkie rapist was the question. Always. Well, for some time anyway, and sometimes successful. I love rust and sounds and broken windows, the whistling and ghosts that peek through. In the past, I was my best self when fighting to the encore of rust sounds that only a river can pull forth, a rocking sound back and forth, wood and water, chains and the resounding smack of ships in the cold moored against green walls. Can you hear it? Because I cannot forget it, and I have love in it. And this one's just downright weird, sorry. I'm just here, house sitting till I go out in a coffin. I have psychological leprosy, a violent infection in isolation. My carpets are full of lopped off stories and songs. And the man with the big beard, maybe, we have. My carpets are full of lopped off stories and songs and poetry, the flakings and fallings of thoughts. It will be a crime industrial affair to clean up when I go. A crime scene involving only me, washing down the walls of hyper euphoria, raking the pond of peace, pounding pillows from dusk till dawn, cracked crockery like my soul. Such will make friends with a skip, and will the stones return to earth or sea? My cube is full of a world, no more. Immigration disallows misshapen artifacts. The sea, the crust beneath foot is contraband. Living is contraband as you sit stuck for a phone call, out of mind, stuck in body. I grin a Wallace and grommet with no cheese. I'm graphing the loss of emotional topography. The scope is low, bottering out. There is a girl on the train, refugee. Oh, and I can see such. A ticket request, and she trickles out 19 coins through her hands. 90, she stutters, shaking coins on the floor. Massive ticket man says, 26.47. He leans over and into her. He grabs her dropped coins, counts them like a chime, drips them into his palms, and once more. I tell him she does not have the money. I'll pay. He ignores me. Ignorant massive, he dismisses. It's her ticket, not yours. I say, it is now, as I'm paying. We repeat and repeat and repeat. Phones are down. Eyes stare. Glance prominent. Useless. We repeat and repeat and repeat as refugee cowers into a woolen hat of green. Take it off for that. With a small label on it, jaded, no doubt, from a long white table of clothes to be grabbed. I shout, I'm paying her fucking ticket. Until he gives in. I want to kill him. Refugee leaves an hour later, turns to the right, hand on heart, and nods. I reciprocate. I wonder where and why and when and how. I watched my neighbour the other day, sitting on my shed roof. Her raised flower bed means her arse can touch my shed roof of slate. Her arse is compatible with my shed. She said when I first moved here, please leave a little slate for me. I can tell the weather by the slate on that shed and when to hang out my washing. Her husband died last year. She was a midwife, he a carpenter. They did all the cooking and cleaning too. Sometimes these days, I see the light on in her husband's workshop still. Pot-bellied stove, mugs of tea in hand, looking out through the windows at my pond. I welcome her arse. I feel of use. She knows I don't mind. I mind little of many things, unless I do, and then it's rage. Rage in torrents of what is wrong. People disappear because the polite left me. One day they will be the same, reminisce and sing again and again. Where have all the flowers gone? And be told by other people, stop being so dramatic. And I will sing to them, no. These that say such want only banality and your demise. I still have flowers, alone, hidden amongst leafage. Anyway, I am just house sitting till I go out in a coffin, and I have little to say. Oh, yeah, no.
Thank you.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Thank you, Bar. And now I would like to welcome, for your entertainment, Jay Woolley.
Let me wet the whistle first. Okay, so my name is Jay Lee, and it's an honour to have been asked to perform here today for the Coracle European Fringe Festival here at Goldstones. I'm a half Scottish, half Irish performer, and I grew up in the streets. I'm a half Irish, half Scottish performer, and I grew up in the streets of Belfast just after the Troubles, before moving to Scotland with my mother, who came from Glasgow. I have just finished writing my own book of poems, which is called Confessions of a Rebel. And today, I want to share some of those poems with you. So the first piece that I want to share today is about the G8 summit protest in Gleneagle, Scotland. In 2005, some of you might remember that it was the time of the Iraq War. George Bush and Tony Blair and 6 other major world leaders had all agreed to meet up in Scotland and decide the fate of the world in a small room in one of Donald Trump's hotels. Protesters also came from all around the world to make a stand against the war, privatization, and oppression. My mum would often take me to protests, and this was a big part of my childhood. But this day was easily the most shocking protest that I've ever been a part of. Here is a first-hand account of what I can remember of the day as a child. And this one is called Marching into Mordor. And it goes like this. The grey clouds loomed above us. The helicopters hovered, cutting waves through the sky of a grey dread. I looked at the clouds, they seemed dead. Gleneagle's hotel, it was a place of mistrust. Units of crack police were spread. A commander struts as his men are led. Strong men from every corner of this world misled and keen to smash a few heads. These were the best of the best. The fences were up and aye, they was looking robust. And as if that wasn't enough, the castle inside, it was heavily fortified. The cavalry stood proud and I seen it with my own eyes. I saw an army in my mind forever immortalized. 500 strong coffers that shall not be thrown aside. We marched towards a dark force, 1,000 strong hearts against some deep thoughts. We felt forced to march against this oppression, to make this government change course. Yes, we was heading into Mordor, and this was our war. The vibe was intense, with those at the front more hardcore. Mum and me stood at the back, because we thought we had more sense. Yes, we were many, but we were still a ragtag army. Plus, I was young, and Mum didn't want them to harm me. The dogs started barking as we got closer to the gates. The atmosphere was thick, and the clouds started darkening. Men got to shouting. Pigs, they roared in response. The fences started shaking and then swaying back and forth. It looked as though the wall may fall. An officer, he let out a call, yelled at the rioters to halt, but nobody even stalled. Then the droids opened up their gate and opened up a world full of hate, grabbing and shoving folk and throwing them behind them. It was a dark and steady line full of black and heavy cloaks that just swallowed them up whole. You couldn't even see beyond the helmets, only hear your comrades scream. That sounds like some real world leader justice to me. The frontline coppers came in swinging with their beaten bars to the nice sounding tunes of a protester's guitar. Creating space, they kept the crowd afar so our guys couldn't get up close. So they started taking turns at who could throw the most. Bottles and stones, these were the weapons that they chose, plus a bin for good measure. Those of us at the back, we voiced our displeasure at the turning of events. The atmosphere indeed was tense, so the coppers took their next steps to quell the disrespect. Helmets heavy upon their neck, they formed a tight defense, then charged with all sticks swinging. But the people in the front, they were ready. The rioters, we stood steady. Many had prepared for this one already. Coppers were dragged to the side. They were put to the ground and thrown aside. For a second, the droids were surrounded. So they released the hounds. These were animals trained to hurt. Put the dog and the horse to work. The ground beneath me quaked as I felt the whole field shake. As the hoofs of the horses stamped upon the grass, the police line then politely let them pass. Now obediently picking up pace, the cavalry now was coming in fast. Then they galloped towards the brawl with helmets, batons, shields and all. They came at us from the right-hand side. We all knew we were being flanked. And those of us that were peaceful would soon be getting attacked. Terror then rose in our midst, and all we could do is witness. It all just happened so fast, and the police didn't give two ish. They was slicing through this crowd. They was looking for people to hit. Colliding with panicked bodies, a woman and a man got flipped. One disappeared right under a horse. The rider showed no remorse. One stood cockier than all the rest, leading the slaughter with a puffed up chest, officer written all over his vest. Clearly, he was looking for a challenge, but one in which he could manage. A strong and angry man hurls an insult right out at him. Well, that's it. You can guess it. He's had it. This officer leans right over the right-hand side of his ride to swing his baton right around the inside of this man's wee noggin. His head, it cracked just like an eggshell. He turned to flee as if running from hell. Blood spurting out of his head, soaking himself and others as well. Everything just happened so bloody quick. Punishment from the rich is swift. My mum grabbed my arm looking stressed. Though we dashed into town to look for a lift, we ran like fuck and we got out of there quick. Thank you. This next piece is something that I think we all can relate to, and a couple of people have heard this a few times already. This one is called An Ode to Doing the Dishes. So, dishes. I'm forever doing dishes. I wake up to about 1 million dishes that I wash. A sweet and colourful marinade, a watery grave of which there is no escape. I wash the bowl that I just ate with for breakfast, scrubbing everything in sight because I'm reckless. That's my ADHD in the head stuff. Round and round it goes. I'll be polishing dirt until nothing shows, in the very vain hope that all of the other dishes have been soaked. Then I got too enthusiastic and one glass broke. Well, I guess that's enough dishes for me today. Nope. A pot washer washes his hands of these dishes in order to ready himself against the wave of the nation's dishes. That Sunday lunch at the pub with a punch, applesauce and gravy. I was amidst the midst of the dishes, and guess what? Things was getting wavy. Anxiety interrupted my thoughts like, one dirty plate, my bossy will hate me. This cutlery was piling up, and I ain't done no drying lately. So I go and grab the cloth from the table that was right beside me. I dried all them things, and I put them away politely. Look, the chef, he keeps coming at me, and I don't know why he's angry. I'm only here to do my dishes. Plus, I got enough at home. And I got these dreams of dishes that get done all on their own, but that's not my reality. Endless dishes up in my zone. Oh boy, today at work was hard. So many dishes in my yard. PTSD in that kitchen got me scarred. But I've got to keep doing these dishes. I got to put money on my bank card. And when I came home from work, my own dishes just caught me off guard. I forgot about the shattered glass. I plunged my hands in the bowl, and the pain just hit me fast. The tip of my finger was cut, and I couldn't help but let out a gasp. If I hadn't been distracted by work, I'd have thrown that shit in the trash. But now, my hand, it was throbbing. I fell backwards and almost collapsed. I nearly fell flat on my ass, and blood splattered all over the taps. I wasn't feeling very relaxed. Nah, I was stressed out, more likely, in fact, due to the fact that now I'd have to contact my work and tell them about my hand. I really fucked up doing my dishes. Oh my God, I'm feeling like a twat. Tomorrow when I go back to work, I really hope I ain't gonna get sacked. Thank you. So last month, unfortunately, I had to travel back home to Belfast as one of my best friends unfortunately passed away. We had to go to his funeral. On the plane over there, I thought about my hometown of Belfast and my experiences there and my friends, how we grew up together, and I wrote this on the journey. So this one is dedicated to my good friend Kyle. Gone far too soon, always missed, never forgotten. It's called Two Sides. I grew up in two places, two sides, and that confused me as a child. Two different influences, one that was a bit more mild and one that was a bit more wild. Either a lovely Scottish beach, or it was a forest maze, or it was shitty looking streets and darkened alleyways, coloured bricks and flags, smashed bottles and stooped out fags, hot fresh fish and chips, milky tea, a few tokes and a drag. My hat was low, my hoodie was up, vodka 7-Up, couple cans in my bag, but then I switched it up. Sky TV at my grandma's pad, with a Chinese sat upon my lap, feet up with a dog to pat. In the car, I'd be with me ma, we'd be listening to a bit of ska, or I'd be learning about hip hop back in Belfast with me dad. I've seen both sides of time before all the phones, when no one was about and you truly was alone. No one and nothing to call when the bad man showed. Going to see my mates, I was on a crowded road, all up on my own. At the first sight of trouble, I should have went straight home. But I couldn't help but watch when those stones was getting thrown. But I'd quickly vacate the place when the sirens started to roar. That was just another week in a city at war, but only with itself, because the troops aren't here anymore. I lost count of the times I've soared on a plane or a boat to the Irish shore, or the other side of Scotland, where they roll round with the knives. I used to live on the same street where all the junkies all scored. I was just a young man then at the skate park feeling bored. I studied British history, mythology, and Celtic lore, but I ain't gonna pick sides because I'm human to my core. Why you living in the past when it's 2024? Two religions, a couple of many, two sides, many gangs already. Same attitudes really though, all are petty. Same people really, guys heavy, thinking it anyway. Girls looking pretty, same in every village, town and city. Every mum cries when her child dies, yes, that's a pity. No matter how you're living, I'll tell you now that life gets gritty. And I'll admit it, I've seen both sides get shitty. Your side or my side, I'll always write these ditties. I'll always stay witty. I'll be milking this pen for my dead friend like they're still here today on this stage with me. Thank you. So continuing with the theme of Belfast and growing up out of the Troubles, this piece is called Way Back When, and it goes like this. Way back when, it was just me and my friends, sat back on a bench drinking Tennent's and spending our tens. Relaxed, we were sat back, plotting ways to make a million pence. We were kids with not much sense, but yet somehow it all made sense. My mum knew what was best, but it was hard growing up in the West. Living in Belfast, where they represent with every breath. Walk down the wrong street, I tell you what, you better backstep. Going back and forth the bridge, hella yeah, I've seen some ish. Back when the vibe was more intense, and folks they said it with their chest. When my side was my side, and screw all the rest. But I'm really glad we passed that though, because no one was winning. And out of all those troubles came a wave of troubled children. My generation, we got screws missing in our hearts and our minds. They tried to make us listen, but as kids, we only saw the signs. Some expressed themselves with art. I expressed myself in rhyme. I'd pop a couple cans, then I'd relax and then unwind. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm just trying to live my life. But life can get hard. You gotta roll with those times. So I'm putting in the work. I'm gonna never stop my grind. My flame ain't going out. I'm gonna let my whole light shine. And so should we all. What you doing even not trying? If you believe it, you can achieve it. Best believe me, because I ain't lying. But you'll never know for sure if none of you aren't even trying. Thank you. And to finish off, I want to dedicate this last piece to Palestine and the genocide that has been raging over there for the last year. And this is a combination of two poems that I've written, but I'm going to put them together as one, and I'm calling it An Ode to an Orphan in Gaza. And it goes like this. I walk past the rubble, with my wee feet in the ground, my mind, it's in trouble. Imagine your worries, and then make them double. I just lost my mum, and all I wanted right now is a cuddle. I just turned 16. I just got my first stubble. But it's like life in Gaza. Every day, man, we struggle. And boy, the things that we've seen. They killed my dad when I was only 13. When they came wrecked my house and said their race is supreme. And that they shouldn't treat me like a human being. But your BBC News is calling my views extreme. Yeah? Well, they wouldn't be if I hadn't been mistreated. Banged up, hanged up, and beaten. It's been 2 days and I still ain't eaten. And I ain't got a home nowadays, never mind got the heating. Out in these streets, I never know where I'm sleeping. Because right now it's winter in Gaza and it's freezing. Cold hearts out here that aren't even beaten. I don't know where I'm going nowadays. Am I staying or am I leaving? 7 months later, and somehow I'm still alive. Every single day now, just asking people why. And I don't want to die, but this is hell, man, and it can't be denied. I've been staring at the clouds recently, just wishing I could fly. I'm so hungry and thirsty right now, my throat's so dry. I know I shouldn't steal water, but you know I will try. Pushing and shoving folks when that aid finally arrives. A package dropped in that sea, and I'm prepared to dive. Yes, I'm prepared to die. Both my parents are dead. I feel their ghosts by my side. My country's looking wrecked, but I still feel the pride. I remember those days when we used to ride on camels and horses. Now all we do is hide from tanks and killers that want to murder everyone inside. But it's the exact same thing if I decide to go outside. In a country starving at war, what would you do to keep safe? And when your kids are starving, I bet you do whatever it bloody takes. Thinking back when it was different, when you grew up in this place. When the street was more friendly and wasn't filled with such hate. When I had food on my plate, I just wish I could pay my own way. And I dream of a world in which we all can escape. Which is sad, really, because I loved this state. So when I see a soldier all up in my face, I know they're only evil men concerned with their own race. I tell them that their time on this planet is a waste. And I pray to my God that he won't give them that grace. I'm feeling hungry, man. This aid is like 2 days too late. I'm starving to death, man. This aid can't wait. Plus, I only got one sibling left, and she just turned 8. Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to end by saying that there will be a fundraising event if anybody here is interested. The final date is yet to be confirmed, but it'll either be Wednesday the 19th or Thursday the 20th of February 2025. The last time we put on this event last year, it was very successful. We raised over £1,000 for Medical Aid Palestine and the World Food Programme campaign there. I'm also looking for poets and performers that want to get involved in this event. So feel free to speak to me or get in touch via Dom. And that will be on King Street at Kura Bar. So thank you for having me today, Carmarthen. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. And now I'd like you all to welcome Jade Collins.
Hello, everyone. What an honour it is to be here and to follow such incredible poets. I'm here to read some of my poems. They're about me overcoming mental illness and also my form of activism. So the first one is called An Ode to the Manic Pixie. It's about being perceived as the mentally ill one in your friendship group. So, An Ode to the Manic Pixie. I am not just a short-term roller coaster ride. No, I am not your funky flavored cup of tea. Am I just an excitable dog's plea? You know me so superficially. You only see the worn-out petals I show you when the sunshine hits me. The breath you blow, gusting them away, the unlit garden of last night's dream. I am the centerpiece. I am the oldest tree in your grandmother's forest. I have ancestry, I have culture, I have fields of unfound tales. My petals are not to be cut, my ride is not to end. Roots that run so deep, I am what mountains are made of. Branches so vast, I fill the sky as if birds flying as one. Clouds so picturesque, angels whisper my sweet breath. No, I am not a forgotten story. No, I am not your eccentric side piece. I am mountains, oceans, skies. So this is the second one. This is called Daelyn yn y Gwynt. It's a poem in Welsh, so any Welsh speakers, I hope you understand. But for those that don't speak Welsh, it's about being a leaf in the wind, where people don't recognize the culture and heritage that is part of your whole identity, and they only see the surface, and they only see you as a little leaf flying in the wind, and they don't see the roots and your heritage and all of that stuff. So this is Daelyn yn y Gwynt. I dim ond llu o wynt I chi. Ai tueddiad cyflym a ddygyr a'r deimlad. I chi, stori mynd heibio ydw I, ond I mi, yr wyfen goeden wedi seilio ar boeri, greion a chryfder. I mi, rwy'n foncyff dy sreon wedi hymnestu i'r awyr lle daeth nŵon o anadl pan darodd golau'r hael. I mi, fi yw'r stori gyfan, I fy ngwreiddiau, fy nheulu, fy achau, rwy'n eion o straeon a theithiau gorffenedig a theimladau gorffenedig. Byddai fy nheulu yn chwerthin yn eich wyneb pe bech yn dweud wrthyn nhw mai dim ond gyst oeddwn ni. Byddent yn dweud, gan chwerthin, mae hi'n storm wyllt ac arglwydd bydded hi'n ddof. Diolch. Thank you. So this third poem is about my relationship with the unknown. And it's about being thankful in the face of hardship and always remaining grateful, no matter what situation you're in. So here it goes. I thank you. The deepest cave lays the goldest treasure. The hardest, heaviest burden leads to the greatest pleasure. The loneliest, coldest path brings the sweetest leisure. Because when you see jagged-edged cliff walls beaten by hounded, bloodthirsty tides, you don't consider the small crack hidden between two knife-like rocks could be the sliver of hope you were praying for. Like a lonely traveller hugging the rugged Pembrokeshire coast, we follow the path as if haunted by ghosts. Eyes downtrodden, head hung low, waiting for the tide's next harrowing blow. The earth seems as though shattered, like heartfelt love notes once held dear become scattered. Souls are left quiet and hopeless, once freshly hopeful eyes become haggard and tattered. Starvation at our doorsteps, famine in our hearts, pathways winding, leading back to the start. History repeating, monarchy stealing, a fight for the future where only justice is healing. Hope can lay as the thinnest sliver of rock, a crack in the darkness, opportunities unlocked. Even if the world crumbles and falls, hope whispers gently and will answer our calls. In storms and thunder and rain's harrowing blunder, where tides are thrashing, hearts fearful, fighting and clashing, give thanks for the cave that once ominous and sightly, now warm and smiling, hugging us tightly. Remember that the deepest cave lays the goldest treasure. So despite the rain, live your life with pleasure. Walk your harrowing path with utmost leisure and understand that love is our goldest treasure. I feel like we all need a bit of hope right now. So this is a funny one. I hope this makes you smile. This is about my journey of unemployment. So if anyone needs a writer or anything, researcher, no, I'm joking. So yeah, this is called Unemployed. Even the scarecrow has a job. Even the crow has something to do. Because the crow avoids the scarecrow, the worm avoids the crow, and the little insects furrow in the soil and avoid what seems to us harmless. Meanwhile, there I am, the job-searching hooligan, preoccupied searching for crows and scarecrows and anything in between. Maybe if I wake up early enough, I'll get the worm, but tell me, what then? Will I then be blessed with eternal job seekers allowance, employment where I am regarded so highly I am in competition with the scarecrow for the crow's affection? The truth about unemployment is that you exit the required order and all becomes upside down for a little while. Uncertainty so certain, the apparent smiling world beams flashing red lights that shudder you from a peaceful reverie. Blinking for 1 second and the grass is suddenly blue, walking on air. The sky is suffocating soil pressed upon a fluttering heart, thickened by black blood, like patted tar on newly forged highways. My fluttering heart has nowhere to hide, because up is down and down is an abyss that falls like forever, and I'm stuck counting sheep, drifting away on clouds so formless, even Alice herself is left bereft by its useless obscenity. Maybe if I allow myself to fall enough, I would leave Earth entirely, find a spaceship and be of no use in peace. At least an alien would see me for who I am, a mere animal with a wild look in its eye and a fluttering heart searching for home, searching for safety. So yes, forget about me. I'm busy on Mars, swallowed by stars, discussing what's for tea with my dear alien, crow, scarecrow, and everything in between. Maybe one day I'll wake up early enough and the Earth will be far away enough. The birds and worms will live in harmony. Maybe I'll be promised financial abundance. Maybe I'll be promised abundance entirely. Even then, I will certainly be twiddling my thumbs, confused at how I got there and what to do. So, this is my final poem. So I'll just bring you through the journey of the poem and you can figure out what it's about. But it is one of my activist poems. So this is called Moamen. I like the dog-eared books. I like the wild appearance of crumbled pages, of half-torn endings. I like the imperfect first impressions of rugged, unfitting rectangles. Because when you force perfection on an imperfect image, you fail to consider the rugged dog-tail pages and noted stories imprinted on us for however long we live. You cannot force an impression in this great capitalist oppression. Subcultures turning into aesthetics, art turning into athletics. You'll forget this page by the time you turn to the next. My weekly shopping coming to £50, getting by is starting to feel like chess. Failing to recognize the stories, the importance of being heard, never seeing the message, forcing history to repeat itself. Oh, but truly lick your fingers and flick the pages. These are simply just words. You won't see the hidden chess game being played behind your back. Revolution, our dog-eared radicalization, fearing nothing but our ability to turn the pages, to forget the pages, learning nothing from the pages. May this poem be a clear and straightforward message. We will not forget Awad. We will not forget Salah. We will not forget Al-Farah, Shahab, Zorub, Tor, Gamahan, Dalil. All the names of the few many babies who haven't reached their first birthday in Gaza. May we carry all of their last names with us, all of them. May we shed tears for them, hold them like their mothers will be in heaven. No, we will not keep turning the pages as if they have no meaning. As if every one of the people in Gaza and Rafah were people with families, with places of rest, of places to call home and sit down together and tell stories. May we continue to play our grand liberational game of chess, rising above every stamp on our art, expression, reflection. Let's continue to fight for the half-torn stories to be remembered. Bodies dismembered is been told through the ages. Revolution is at our hands. Don't forget to read the pages. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jade. Wonderful selection. And there's very much a strong theme of social activism coming through from our younger readers. And now, one of our not so young readers, flown in from Stockholm yesterday to Wales, especially for the festival, Bengt Björklund.
This is okay? Good. Okay, I'm Bengt Björklund. When I was 19, I was severely psychotic, taken by the police in Istanbul for a few grams of hash. And this is the story how I healed during my 5 years in a Turkish jail in Burs. Childhood. One year I was in Ångermanland in the north of Sweden, visiting my old grandfather still living in Lugnvik. On a visit to Aunt Eira, a cheeky mountain seduced me with spectacular views and steep cliffs. The winding road led up through the forest, abounding with spruce and pine, mossy stones and ferns, breathing in the shadows. At the top, there was a small pavilion. The rocks on the steep side called me. On my way down the steep side, I had to let go of a ledge, to fall to the next in a sudden rush. Then it ended. I could only continue if I jumped across the wide crack onto a new ledge. I took a deep breath. In that moment, I felt for the first time my own mortality and the uncertainty if there were to be more days to come in a euphoric flash. I got a hold of a shrub and managed to make my way back to an anxiously waiting little sister in the empty pavilion. Teenager. Our green army jackets were completely overwritten with names like the Who, the Stones, Friends, Pretty Things, Animals, Manfred Mann, the Small Faces, John Mayall, the Bluesbreakers. I let my hair grow long and hung out at the large terrace overlooking the Stockholm Concert Hall, dominating the big square Hötorget, where we often used to sit with stone chairs, drinking beer, smoking dope, and of course we were at Plattan, the square outside the subway T Central Station. Lebanese cost 50p a gram, Morocco 30, and Afghan 50. In the summer of 1965, I turned 16. We sat on the stairs at the Stockholm Concert Hall with our beer and hash and basking in the sun, and a greasy rocker, the mean Alsatian, shouted abuse and insulted us. We chased him down the Kungsgatan street. Our number were increasing as we ran. Windows were smashed, and the first riot in Stockholm was a fact. The next weekend, people gathered in mass at the Hötorget Square, crowding the overlooking terrace. And as on cue, the rush began. Mounted police with sabers lost big time. The weekend revolts gave birth to a new collective alienation, the Swedish mods generation, making a stand against bourgeois adulthood, war, and political profits. I was 17, far beyond childhood and the arms of my family, unable to turn back. I met all the cool guys who had been around for a while. Travelers to and from India, old beats still cradling the protest like a wild garden, created the space I needed. The world was growing. The man in charge of a teenage boys' home at the Vitabergs Park, where I sometimes took refuge to have roof over my head and some food and warmth, said to me the last time I saw him, "If you do not change your ways, you will become a hobo traveling the world." Nothing could have pleased me more. One night I walked confused up and down the streets of Stockholm, my mind in bits and pieces. All the bits and pieces whispered their confused directions beneath a sky that should have been me. Go across the street, don't cross the street, turn right, turn left. I must have looked weird, one step straight ahead, next to the side, and some the other way, constantly. Had taken too much acid. I should have been at the concert hall. listening to the Mothers of Invention that night, I heard a totally different music. I remember thinking a rough brush is cleaning up my brain. I tried in vain to make it to somewhere, anywhere, all through the night. At dawn, I met my friends. Then we played cards in my place while I returned in both voice and undivided presence. The journey. In Malmö, I met Kenneth, listening to Bob Dylan all day. I also met his sister Alice. Together, I and Alice decided to make it to India. She had some money, I was completely poor. She bought me a passport from a guy who needed money. He was shorter than I, but like I, had mixed colored eyes. We took a ferry to Copenhagen and hitchhiked through Denmark. We took another ferry from Rødby to Puttgarden. When we got to the customs officer looked for a long time at my passport and my heart was pounding, but he let us pass. We hitchhiked through Yugoslavia. At the Greek border, we took the train to Turkey. When the train rolled into Istanbul Central Station, begging children flocked around us. We got a cheap dolmuş that took us to Sultanahmet and to the pudding shop, a well-known coffee shop where a young man told us of a low-priced hotel called Gülhane. The breakdown. One of the nights at the Gülhane roof, I found myself in the eyes of a beautiful Japanese girl. She was short, with long hair. It was Yoshia. We moved into a room together. A few nights later, all references were lost. I'm suddenly dissolving, an uncomprehending fly on the wall. I had become a universe of emptiness. I had mixed amphetamine, LSD, hash, and raw opium. Different voices came to life and called for an impossible birth. Darkness disappeared, and a harsh, penetrating light, empty and painfully naked, revealed the observer with nothing to say in the back seat. I was reduced to a mere reflection of the many-faceted movements that surrounded me. I was a mechanical puppet, an empty echo. I followed every train, and every time I was left behind. That night, the door was kicked in, and together with Yoshia, I was carried away into a night I did not understand. I was pushed down on my back, and my feet were tied with rope to a small wooden stake. Two policemen at the end of the stake lifted my feet a meter above the floor. And the chief of police started the beating. I thought, stupid place to target the hitting. The skin under my feet, I'm sure, is much too thick. Soon the area being hit turned into raw flesh in uproar. I screamed and confessed to all they wanted. I was held back to the big cell. A young broken man with eyes empty as mirrors, rejected by his surroundings, rejected by himself, whipped and tormented, seeking a deity, only to find a hollow echo more painful than absence itself. My universities. They slowly molded themselves into a new life and closeness to others in this new world, birthing opportunities for knowledge and experience spillover. Artists, poets, musicians, and oriented-minded thinker open unimaginable doors to new worlds born out of the ashes of what I once was. It was Antonio Rasili who first whispered to me these new visions. Book after book I plowed into the newly discovered soil of I. Cultures, myths, religions, and world literature slowly filled my nameless days. The same day I turned 20, the Woodstock Festival started. My mother came to visit me. In early December, the Altamont Festival put a full stop to a generation and a decade. We were a family, a collective of creative men. Antonio from Fano, artist and poet, India Bum and Biennale King, beatnik and freak, was the man who gave my days a new direction, a new vast content. Ronald Long and Colored from Chicago, Black Panther and Rabbit Poet, read his poetic manifesto aloud of black man's strength and beauty, of white man's decadent and moribund society. George von Zurich had recently been in an ashram in India where he had studied the Vedas and Russian mystics. I read and followed the living theatre of Antonin Artaud, a fate of strong will bordering to the unlikely. I traveled with him among Mescal Indians and kept in company during the years he spent in mental hospitals. I had long conversations with Rabindranath Tagore, and I often woke up in Russia in the late 19th century. The Japanese slowly moved into my eyes, and tales were mixed with reality and Dylan Thomas. I moved through the days like a monk in his prayers, far away from the surrounding turmoil we faced every day. The tick-tock of the season was so quiet. We spent those days in constant learning, and I made many new friends, many now dead. I slept on a blanket I had spread over the boards of the bed. Stretched out, I collected, and I met the night. Pigeons received me at dawn and gave me a winged temple where I would meet the day. Every time snow fell, birthing northern memories, chilly winds whispered my name. Visions of childhood crept like pale phantoms through my world. Like a sadhu, I met every new day with yoga and meditation, and I could hear Ganesha laughing. Thank you.
Tack så mycket. Thank you very much, Bengt.
Thank you.
Bengt will be our special guest at Carmarthen on Monday night, the culmination of the festival. We always like to bring the festival back to the community when it comes to its end, and so that's where we end with our open mic. But there's plenty ahead before then, and we're leaving Carmarthen town now, and the program is moving down to Ferryside, to Calonna Ferry, where there is a diverse literary cabaret that will run from 7 through to about 10 o'clock this evening with lots of different events. So you're all very, very welcome, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.
Hello there. Surprised to see you.
Oh, yeah, okay.